Zenkai Boosts, otherwise known as Saya Power, is the ability by Saiyans to increase in power after a huge battle, specifically one that brings them to near death or even death in the anime, and for years many people believe the Saiyans stopped getting Zenkai after the Namek arc. But is this really the case? Well, Chapter 20 of the Dragon Ball Super manga really changed our perspective on things, and on this video, we're going to examine all points to give you the truth once and for all.
This is Goku Black. You mortals had better push that subscribe button and follow Geekdom on social media. Do it, filthy mortals.
Chapter 20 of the Dragon Ball Super manga has brought up this discussion now about Zenkais and when they stopped and when they started, and everybody has their perspective, and I want to ask everybody to leave your comments down below after hearing the entire video, because I want to get your thoughts on the whole discussion. But pretty much in Chapter 20 of the Dragon Ball Super manga, Trunks states that his dad and company, talking about Goku and Vegeta, probably can't get Zenkais anymore, saying that they've trained to their limits. Now, this changes things slightly, not too much, but slightly. But before we get into Super, I want to go back and talk about Dragon Ball Z and really focus on when Zenkai stopped being a thing. Now, joining me to discuss this, I have two people here, and their names both start with an M. Please welcome Mike from Laughingstock Media. How's it going?
Hey guys, it's Mike from Laughingstock Media. How's it going?
Hopefully well. And a man who definitely knows how it's going and coming. Please welcome, that sounded weird. Please welcome MJ from Geeklist TV.
What's going on, guys? Thank you for having me back on the channel, Geekdom.
Yes, I'm bringing MJ here because he did a tremendous amount of research into Super. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the video. First, let's discuss Dragon Ball Z. Okay, now, first thing I want to make very clear to everybody, okay? First of all, the word Zenkai Boost is a fan-made term for Saya Power, which is the ability that Saiyans have to regenerate themselves and not regenerate, that's not the right word, but basically after a battle they become stronger, and these were implemented all throughout the series early on, but mostly in the Namek sagas when we see a lot of this. In the Frieza saga we see Vegeta come close to dying several times, and every time that he does, he gets stronger and stronger. It's a plot point that Toriyama used to find an excuse to get these characters to be stronger so they can be equal to the Ginyu Force and to Frieza, because Frieza's pretty much the toughest and strongest guy in the universe that we're aware of at the time, so obviously a bunch of Earthlings and Saiyans couldn't compete with him, so Toriyama had to use this plot point to get Vegeta, well really mostly Goku, up to the level where he could compete with Frieza. The thing about Zenkais is that they're very, very inconsistent. Goku goes from fighting Captain Ginyu at 180,000 plus to getting his body beaten up by Gohan and Krillin, being put in the rejuvenation tank and coming out at like tens of millions of power. It's very inconsistent and really makes no sense. But the question we're trying to answer first of all is, was Namek the last time we saw Zenkai? And the answer is no. The two key points I want to bring up, one is from a movie and one is from the series. Broly in Second Coming comes back a lot stronger than he was in the first Broly movie, to the point where he can tank SS2 Gohan. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Then there's Cell. Now, Cell is probably the most important and most prolific Zenkai boost we've seen in the series. Cell, of course, goes back. He regresses into his second form, semi-perfect Cell. He blows himself up, and yet his nucleus that survived was able to regenerate into super perfect Cell. So not only did he get his perfect body back, but he was even stronger. This is the biggest Zenkai we've ever seen in the series. However, it is never explicitly stated in the anime or the manga, it is never stated that the Saiyans stopped getting Zenkai. However, it is stated that as time went by, the Zenkais did indeed diminish. That was in one of the guidebooks. Now, do you guys have any approximate, I guess, hypothesis about when this diminishing, I guess, theory started? Because that isn't one of the guidebooks.
Mike, you want to go first, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I feel like all the boosts that we really saw on Namek, for the most part, are kind of atypical, because when you think about it, again, Goku, in like the course of a month, got like thousands and thousands of times more powerful. But after, Namek and after the fight with Frieza, it doesn't really seem like they're getting that much more powerful, and that in turn could maybe lead to, like, the theory of diminishing Zenkais, which I've heard many times before people try to attribute to that to it, to where, like, maybe some people believe that Zenkais went away and Super Saiyan replaced them, but
Yeah.
again, there's no real indication that there was, but I could see Boost in general being smaller, because when you think about it, when they're much weaker, if you get a Zenkai of like 300,000, that's gigantic when your power level is already like 100,000. But when you have a power level in the hundreds of millions and you get a Zenkai that's 300,000, that's nothing. That's just like a little drop in the bucket.
That's
so
right.
you could possibly say maybe they stayed a similar range, but it's not as big of a multiplier. I'm not entirely sure, because again, it's never explicitly told to us.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and quote from the actual Toriyama, translation here. What about the change in Goku's battle power after that? Even after the battle with Frieza, formidable enemies surpassing human knowledge appeared one after the other to face Goku. Though the power-ups received after having wounds healed became small, Goku and company began using transformations and fusions to increase their battle powers to the point where they could no longer be measured numerically. At the bottom it says, translation note, the ending paragraph seems to mostly be a way of explaining why no battle powers are available after the battle with Frieza, saying that past this point, battle powers become simply immeasurable. The way the note about near-death power-ups becoming small is phrased in Japanese, sukuna kunata, it could either mean that they became small, infrequent, or insufficient. So pretty much what we're saying is that on Namek, Zenkai Boost mattered more because, like you said, Mike, the range is so much smaller, but it meant so much more because they weren't as powerful. But once you pass a certain threshold in power, your Zenkai won't be as strong. However, counterpoint to that, how do you explain Cell, who at the time was stronger than anybody but Gohan?
When it comes to Cell, I mean, realistically, I feel like Cell could have gotten even, like, twice as powerful from the Zenkai, and that'd still be a huge boost, because, again, with Cell, like, his power level is arguably in the billions, so he gets powered up, and so he has, like, almost 10 billion power level, maybe, like when he actually gets that Zenkai. So that's like monstrously large compared to like almost every other Zenkai ever. But at the same time, it's a really small ratio of power up for him as opposed to being like hundreds or thousands of times bigger. So maybe you could fit it in like that. But with Cell, when it comes to like the whole training thing, I guess maybe you could say, oh, Cell never trained. But again, his body was so ridiculously powerful, except for against Gohan, that, maybe his body just saw Gohan and Gohan's power, and it's like, I need to scale up to this to fight my most active threat at the time. And that kind of ties into, I guess, my whole theory on Zenkais in the first place, where it's more like active threats is what really activates the Zenkai, and maybe the active threats weren't as big of a, difference as they were with Frieza after the Namek arc.
Yeah, and that quote that I just made right there actually confirms that Zenkais did happen. They absolutely did happen after Frieza, but they were very small. But Cell is a special case, and I'm guessing it has probably to do with the way that his cell structure is organized. Now, MJ, we're going to go to you here in a minute. Let's talk about Dragon Ball Super. The implication here, there's a line that Vegeta says where he says, I don't believe we can get much more powerful than this. Something like that in Dragon Ball Super, where he's like, we're almost at the peak of our power when it came to training. This was during, I think, the Universe 6 arc, correct?
Yes, this was pre-Universe 6 when they were training to fight the Universe 6 warriors.
So at this point, right, this does go along with what Trunks said in the manga, that Goku and Vegeta specifically have been training for so long in their life that their Zenkai just didn't trigger like it's supposed to. But again, if you talk about somebody like Broly, for instance, who is, of course, a movie villain, we have an asterisk on that. He's the same age as Goku, and he's Zenkai beyond SS2, and Broly definitely didn't train. Cell at least had battles and trained a little bit. We saw him in the filler training in space, but Broly never trained, and he got a huge Zenkai, but we can just chalk that one up to it being a movie. But back to Dragon Ball Super. So MJ, you did a lot of extensive research in the Dragon Ball Super anime and actually discovered that there's actually a couple points where Vegeta and really Goku, specifically Goku, did indeed get a Zenkai boost. I mean, the one that comes to mind is when Vegeta went back in the Room of Spirit and Time while Goku was learning the Mafuba, and he came back and he kicked Black's ass in the future. He had to have gotten some kind of Zenkai. I mean, 6 months of training put him that much stronger? I don't know, but what is your big discovery here that you made?
Well, basically, in episode 61 of Super, and this is in the Future Trunks arc, after Goku hears about like his family being killed, you know, that moment when they explain to him that they murdered Chi-Chi and Goten, you can presume that Goku rages out and he just like lets loose on Goku Black and Future Zamasu. You know, there's that famous scene, remember, with the backhand to Future Zamasu, like he's running through these guys, and before Goku can actually finish off Goku Black stops his punch with like ease, one hand, and literally one-shots Goku out of the entire battle with his new Keyblade technique. Now, looking at this scene, whether or not you believe Goku Black got a Zenkai after Goku's beating, like after the beating he received from Goku, or he was holding back, that does not matter. We're not talking about that. We're specifically talking about regular Goku. In episode 62, when the heroes return to the past, Goku is put into like some chamber, presumably a healing chamber, because we know he wasn't given any senzu beans or nothing, by Bulma's father. And when he awakens, they're talking about the whole situation, and Gohan asks Goku if there's anything they can do to help Future Trunks, and Goku replies with, well, I can at least stop both Black and Zamasu's movements. And that's a funny line to me, Geekdom and Mike, because just the episode prior, literally the episode prior, Goku was taken out with ease. Like he was knocked out of his SS blue form and was out for like 2 episodes, bro, before they healed him. So to me, it seems like the anime of this arc hinted at Goku receiving a Zenkai, because remember, guys, he didn't train. He didn't go into the Room of Spirit and Time like Vegeta did. And plus, later we see that he's able to shoot through Zamasu's Holy Wrath technique, whether Zamasu was suppressed or not. Again, that's not the point. The point is, Goku seems to be stronger after episode 61. You know what I mean? So
that's right. Goku was able to, again, merge Zamasu, a Potara fused character, with the power of Goku Black, was able to just murk through them. Like, it's mind-boggling.
I mean, he overpowered a blast that, like, it took pretty much Trunks and Vegeta combined to overpower, and Goku was able to fire straight through Zamasu's blast and mess up half his body.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is that again, I don't want to sit here and just say, oh, well, Super's inconsistent. I mean, it is, especially when comparing the anime or the manga.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to Goku Black, the manga adds a new layer of, I guess, lore, I don't know what else to call it, where they talk about how because Zamasu stole Goku's body, it pretty much hit the reset button on Zenkai Boost, to where it explained to where it's sort of the combination of mind and body, and it's also Goku's body from the future, which is why SS2 Goku was able to fight with base form Black. And not just that, in the anime, base Black fought Vegeta, SS Blue. But again, the thing about that is that was not in the manga, so it's just really hard to find a definitive conclusion on this in Super, because the anime and the manga somewhat contradict, even though I do think I think the manga explains it a little bit better.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
There are some equivalent kind of situations in the anime and manga, like certain things happen kind of similarly in both, because again, they're both based on the same notes from Toriyama, so like the same kind of like similar points. So I guess you could try and, say this is similar to this one. This is, like Vegeta was beating the crap out of Black in terms of like his Super Saiyan form, and then Black gets super strong, can suddenly fight against, Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. So you can argue that perhaps like there are some similarities between different sequences. Now, like we were talking about in the Universe 6 arc, they said they're near their limits, and now they're like, oh, they trained so hard to their limits. But again, that makes me question, can they not get stronger anymore? Can they not really get like too much more powerful? And if so, like, are they ever even, like, is that Toriyama interview where he said they'll never surpass Beerus and Whis as far as he's concerned at this point? Like, is that true? And if so, like, where do they even go from here if they can't even get Zenkais, pretty much?
Yeah, the Zenkai was always Toriyama's way of writing himself out of characters not being able to get stronger. But now, according to what the manga says, and according to what the original the guidebook said, pretty much Zenkais are not going to be a difference maker anymore. Even though they are for Goku Black, they are not for Goku and Vegeta. Let us know your comments down below. What do you think? Also, one more thing I want to talk about briefly. Gohan and Buu. People have been bringing up the fact that there's a scene where Dende heals Gohan, and Majin Buu states, "Oh, you're strange. You healed, but your power didn't increase." I'm pretty sure the reason for that's because in the series, Elder Kai unlocked Gohan's potential completely, so he can't even get Zenkai in that form as well. At least that's what's implied to me, but I want to get your thoughts in the comments as far as, Zenkai. How do you feel about Zenkais not being a thing anymore, and how do you think Goku and Vegeta are going to be able to get stronger from now on? Are they going to have to find new transformations? Who knows? But the bottom line, this whole topic, yes, they still do get Zenkais, but they're not as big as they were on Namek because Toriyama found new ways to write his way out of a paper bag. So there you go. Everybody check out MJ, Geek List, and check out Mike. Thank you for being here, gentlemen. As always, it's a pleasure. Check out their channels, and I'll catch you down the road.